Hello, Steve. So
Alex.
you came to us for a develop app for your course. And could you please say first about your product? So about your task and problem which you wanted to solve with the application, and what was important for you when you are choosing between developers or agencies. Yeah, so like first about the product, and then like how was the process of choosing?
Yeah. So I started a nonprofit recently, an educational nonprofit, and I have in the past used community platforms like Circle, but found them lacking, especially from a mobile perspective, either lacking or exceptionally expensive, like $30,000 a year. And then there's no code that's transferable or anything like that. And the functionality that they had was not really what I wanted. And so what we do is we have a 12-week, it's not just a course, but it's this whole learning journey that we have that involves course content, community dialogue. We use online collaboration tools as well. So I was really looking for an MVP of an app that could host all the content and then sequence it in the timeline that was really important, and give subscribers the ability to not just read the content and not just comment on what was there, but also have personal journals and sort of have a personal bookmarking, which is there, but personal comments is something that I found was surprisingly rare. And it's just because of the nature of what we do in terms of teaching creative skills and practices that kind of thing is important. So I went looking for developers, and I talked to 5 or 6, and I went deeper with about 3. And what I was specifically looking for was a platform that was scalable. And by that, I mean something that was not a throwaway. And I use that term because in a couple of the developers I talked to, they said, well, unless you're going to spend $30,000 or $40,000, we'll do it in something like Glide, but that won't actually be what you want in the long term. So I didn't want to spend $15,000 or $20,000 on a throwaway application. And so Flutter Flow was one of the platforms that I had heard of and studied a little bit and said, okay, that's quite scalable because it's used for production apps. And that's something that I know code was doing. The other thing that I wanted, because it was an MVP, was reasonable cost to understand. Because an MVP, my assumption is an MVP might not work at all. So I got development costs anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000, which to me was just not, it just wasn't acceptable. I'm a designer by training, so I come from a kind of test and learn environment, and high no code kind of gave me the best option. And actually, Alex, you pushed back on me when I said, well, it doesn't have to be 7 days for the MVP. And you were very persistent that like, no, because development costs can you can add more time and scope. And so it's important that we limit the time. And so I really appreciated that. I was trying to give you leeway, but you said, no, let's learn what we can learn. And the costs were very reasonable.
Cool, thank you. So, and the next question about about the result. So I was satisfied with the final result of the project, and about timeline of the project. So yeah, you can answer in the free form.
Yeah. So when you and I first talked, Alex, I said, well, one of the things I'm looking for is of course, something that's cost effective, but we talked about the scalability but I also talked about things like communication, that communication was really important, and that it not be I drop off the specs to you and I don't hear from you in a few weeks and all of a sudden something pops up. And so one of the things that I appreciated was the communication was good, and it was an interactive process, meaning that, you said, well, I need this from you, and then you said, is this what you were talking about? And so there was plenty of back and forth, not just on the Figma files, but on the app files, and then testing functionality. Is this what you were talking about? And so I really appreciated that as well. So the communication was good. Cost and timing were very good. And I appreciated your proactivity on things like admin panels and those kinds of things.
So yeah, thank you so much for your feedback. So I think we developed it in the timeline of 10 business days or 11. Yeah. Yeah, and it is the final product is in fact just learning management system. So it doesn't have complex tests or something like that, but it has practices, it has articles, it has community with the post creation, and with other participants. It has groups which you can
the app. What I was looking for in the app was not simply courses, because there are other providers that have off-the-shelf apps that are like, here's a course, you can't see forward, and you just get you just go through in a sequence. But one of the things that I wanted was, there's kind of this core content that needs to be sequenced. But then there's also articles. There's research that's done on these creative practices in neuroscience and those kinds of things. And so I wanted those to be connected, but not in one big bucket. So there's the home, on the home page is really the dashboard. Like, here's where you left off, so you can go right back to where you were. And groups. Groups are really important because this is a cohort-based program over 12, but yeah, actually 24 weeks. And so it was articles and multimedia from YouTube, TED Talks, whatever, audio, and then just simple links to research that's been done. And that's in one area. And then the other one is sort of a guided tour of the practice. And on all of that, the user can actually bookmark saying, this was really interesting. They can comment on all the practice material. And like I said before, importantly, they can actually make private notes. So we wanted users to have the choice, like, am I going to make a public comment or am I going to make a private comment? Just my own sort of reflection that may not make sense to somebody else at this point, because it's my journey. And then finally, admin. So there's home, there's theory, there's practice, there's the community, which are the groups and the group aspects. And I didn't really spec it out initially, but you were kind enough. I had this notion of karma. I didn't want things like likes on comments, but where you can actually say, this person in my community, in my cohort, helped me quite a bit. So I can give Alex a karma point, and then I make a comment on, like, why am I giving an appreciation? You helped me in this way or in that way. And then, of course, there's some very basic account, basic personal account information, which includes, the library of bookmarks that I've done. There is the personal comments that I can get to. And then we will add more. Oh, there's frequently asked questions, because very often there's a, just how does this work? How do I think about this so that I'm not taking too many service calls? And then also how to get in touch with me. So they can just put in a box. Here I have this question, or there's this technical issue, and it gets sent to me. So, and that's pretty much what I wanted. I mean, you threw in an extra couple of things that were in the Figma file that I said, no, that can wait till version 2, which specifically when somebody logs in for the very first time, they get a few pages of, like, here's just an overview of what this community is and what it's about. So I guess I got that one for free, but much appreciated.
Cool. Yeah, thank you very much for your feedback and this experience. Hope to continue to work with the next phase.